Welcome back to another episode of my channel. My name is Luke Curtis. I am a photographer, cum gaffer, and the UK European Marketing Manager for Nanlite. And I run my own small YouTube channel, and I wanted to bring this new product to you. So last week I had the pleasure of talking to you about the PavoBulb 10C, which is a new, more affordable pixel-based LED tube that's 1 meter long, 208 grams. It basically offers you the spec of technology that you would only see on a higher end product, such as our PavoBulb X series. A much more affordable price, which is really exciting. And then this week we are now dropping our new PavoBulb 10C. So people have been waiting for this for quite a long time. We now have our own smart bulb, or glow dome, or whatever you want to call it. Basically it's an E27 LED bulb that is run with RGBWW chipset, which basically means it's going to have the ability to access up to 36,000 colors, similar to what you see in a range of our other products such as the mix panel, the PavoBulb X, things like that. So it's going to have access to this extended color range, which is pretty exciting. The color temperature range is 2,700 all the way through to 7,500 Kelvin, and it also has the green and magenta adjustability, basically from 0 to 100 either end of the spectrum, which is pretty cool. It's got 15 special effects that can be accessed through the Nanlite app, and I'm going to be showing you some of that working in a moment. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. So I'm going to take you through the unboxing of it, so to speak, just so you can kind of get an insight into what comes in the box. I quite like the box. It's yeah, it's quite clever, so in terms of the shape of it. So it's going to look very nice. In terms of durability, you probably would want to sort of look. You could use this over a period of time, but because it is cardboard, in terms of, like, you know, we're trying to look after the planet and stuff, and use less plastics and use less products that can't decompose. So we've now got this cardboard box to it. There are a couple of options to this though. So we have the individual bulb, which is this one here, and similar to the PavoBulb 7X, if you buy it individually, it will come in a strengthened cardboard tubular case, basically, which is great for the planet. So really, really good in that sense that we're kind of doing our bit to look after the world. If you buy it in bigger sets, so it comes in a 4 and it also comes in a 12, that will come in a Pelly style kind of pop-out case, which you can see now, and that will also come with a range of other accessories. The bulb on itself, in terms of what it has inside it, so we'll pop that open like so. We have instruction manual and access to all of our socials via the QR code on there as well, and a little pass certificate to say that it's kind of like at the quality you need it to, and a full instruction manual to take you through. You also have the bulb itself there, and now on the outside of the bulb, I don't know if you can see this here, so we have a USB-C port. We also have 3 buttons on the outside here, so a dim, a mode, and a CCT. And in terms of how these work, there's separate kind of step-up increments, and that's all explained in the actual manual itself. So that's all explained in terms of like the 6-stage step-up, so 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. It's E27, so you've got this one here. Now I know in the UK and other places in the world, you also get a bayonet fixture. So this is E27, so it will work on E27 fixtures. So I'm just going to screw that in there like so. And then, whoa, that is super, super, super bright. Let's just take that down just a little bit. Whoa, it's so bright. Let's take it down just a smidge. You have your USB-C cable in there as well. So I've just got a camera over my shoulder kind of filming over the top of me, which is what this cable is here, which I should have hidden. Let me get rid of that bad boy. So we'll just get rid of that chat there. So yeah, you've got a USB-C cable. Well, it's a USB-A to USB-C cable. Can't answer that right now. Cable, just put my phone on silent. And then that's it inside of here. That's basically what you've got. It's pretty simple in terms of design, and yes, designed to kind of look after the planet and also keep the cost of it down. You know, why would you put in a load of packaging which is going to increase the overall cost of it when you're trying to make a product that's accessible to everybody? So that's why we've got that on there. If you are concerned about this, of course you can come up with your own kind of like carry system, but if you are buying a kit of them, which is what I would imagine most people do, the 4 and the 12 comes in a really handy carry case, which is kind of like Pele hardened plastic design in that sense. So it's going to be reinforced. You're going to be safe kind of taking it to and from set, which is pretty exciting. Now, in terms of the bulb itself, let's talk about the form factor of it. I'm just going to pull it into the center of the screen so you can see it. In terms of the outside of it, let's talk about it all. So we have the E27 here. We have the 3 buttons on the outside. It's cooled as well, so you can see this vent system here, and there's also a combination of metal and reinforced plastics, which are going to allow it to dissipate the heat, because you could have them plugged in for some periods of time. And you can also see the heat sinks down here as well. Now, the USB-C will allow you to run power to it, okay? Now, this doesn't have a built-in battery, okay? And you're going to say, oh, why doesn't it have a built-in battery? Lots of the competitors have a built-in battery inside theirs. This is designed as an accent or a practical. It's going to be used when it's plugged into one of these. So once you plug it in, that's where it gets its draw from and its power. We do also have an accessory which will allow you to use MPF batteries in it as well. So you now have the option to use battery or not use battery. So you can run it from mains without having to do that swap over of DC AC kind of combination, which I personally think, you know, being biased to Nanlite, I think is more practical in that sense, and stops you kind of getting in those situations where you're like, oh, is it or isn't it working? What do I have to push? What do I have to reset? It's just going to do it straight off the bat because it's intelligently designed in that sense. You also have a USB-C to DMX cable, so basically you can connect this into a DMX setup, which is something that some of the other bulbs cannot do at the minute. So you've got the ability to connect it to DMX, which I think is really good for larger scale production. So you can see that I've plugged this in here into the lamp now, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little screen record and take you into the setup process to be able to use this. So we've got the Nanlite app. I've created a scene called PavoBulb. Now, what you want to do with your bulb when you first get it is hold down all 3 buttons and it will go blue. That's telling you that the Bluetooth is ready to be enabled. So it's now reset on the blue, which is fantastic. Really good visual indicator to make sure you're doing the right thing. Now, we go into the PavoBulb and we want to add. We go to Bluetooth and there you go. Straight away, we can see that the bulb is there ready to go. So we click that, click done, and we step into it. It's going to take a few seconds to set up. So once that is set up, and what I'm going to do in those few seconds is I'm just going to take down the house lights. So the lights behind me, my kickers, they're going to stay on, but I'm just going to take down the house lights just a smidgen, just so you can kind of see the output of the bulb itself. Now, in terms of what I'm being lit by a mixed panel 60 in front of me. It's kind of about 70–80%, so not a huge deal of light. It's also double diffused as well. So I'm just taking that down so we can see the bulb. Now, in terms of the bulb, that's currently set to 0. I want to give you an indication of how powerful it is. Now, that is extremely bright for a bulb, and the reason for that is largely because it's taking its draw directly from the main source as opposed to a battery. Now, the benefit of that is going to be that you're not going to run out of battery, of course, and the other benefit is you're not limited to the capacity of the batteries, okay? So you can get much more brightness out of it because the energy coming through allows you to do so. Also as well, when you talk about the battery adapter, it's allowing you to use MPFs, and they come in different milliampage, and what that's going to give you the ability to do is extend the output period. So for instance, if you know one variation of milliamp only gives you an hour and a half, you could get a high capacity battery that might give you 2–3 hours. So it's giving you full control over kind of like the usage on set, and taking the worry away. Also, the MPF batteries are easily accessible, and you tend to have an array of them, so they're easy to swap out. So if, for instance, you do run out of battery, you can easily replace it. You don't have to then go and recharge it, or you can just plug it into a main line and you'll be able to start using it here. So that's at 100%. We'll take that back down. And in terms of that color gamut, so I'm going to just drop you down to 10% just so we can see it here. We'll stay at about 20%. Now, what we then have is that CCT main. So this is 7,500 Kelvin, and we go all the way down to tungsten 2,700. So it's super warm. Now this is when you buy bulbs inside your home, you get the ability to choose now. So because they're LED, you can either have tungsten or you can have cool for different areas in the home. Living rooms and that, they tend to be more tungsten because they want a warmer, richer, like cozier feeling. Kitchens, they tend to be closer to the white end of the spectrum, or blue, because they want a kind of like a refreshing, open kind of vibe, more energizing effectively. And you can do that with this bulb. So whatever scene you're trying to recreate, you've got the ability to move between that plane to make it more realistic. Now, Ozark is a really good film to watch, or really good series to watch. If you look at how they use the practicals on set there, they do really set the scene fantastically. And that's because you've got, you're using fixtures that allow you to do it. And this is going to be an example of a product that would allow you to do that. So we'll drop it back to 5,600, which is daylight balance. We've also got that green and magenta shift, so you can see us switching up between there, and we can go up or down in 100% increments. We'll take that back to 0. Now, this is where we end up looking at the HSI ability. Now, it is an RGBWW PavoBulb, RGBWW bulb, so it's giving you the access to that 36,000 colours. It's not 36,000 direct colours, it's variants of the main colours that you get in terms of being able to manage the saturation and the hues to be able to create kind of like different tones and different different feelings to certain colours. So for instance, there's a spectrum of red, there's a spectrum of blue, there's a spectrum of green, and you can kind of phase up or phase down between those. So we're choosing the red here. Let me just take my key all the way down, so drop that down 100%. And you can see it responds very well within the app. We also have the photo ability. So for instance, we can take a photo of a colour. I've just got to find a colour now. Take a photo, do that, and the bulb will then recreate that colour, which I think is a great effect. And we've got that on a range of all of our other fixtures now. Then we move into the effects mode. You can see it's very easy to navigate through the Nanlite application. And this is also the exciting thing here as well, is it has DMX, it has 2.4 gigahertz, and it has Bluetooth as well. So in terms of the connectability, okay, you can connect directly with a mobile phone, you can connect to a DMX setup with multiple other fixtures, and you can do phasing and sequencing and all of that sort of stuff. And then you can also do it through 2.4. So if you are using our Nanlite box, which is this guy here, so for instance, you're using that because you've got some of our Forza, like Forza 500, Pavo tubes, things like that, and you're using that Nanlite box to connect the whole ecosystem, this is going to allow you to connect into that as well through that 2.4 frequency. 2.4 has a larger radius than Bluetooth, okay? So for instance, on bigger sets, you're going to have the access to kind of use them at a greater distance to where you are operating from, which I think is a great functionality. Then we're moving into our special effects, so we're looking at the hue. We have pulse. So we have a pulsation, and you can control the speed, how many pulses there are. We can make it faster, we can make it a lot slower. We also have, oh, that's getting dizzy, cop car, so the ability to create the effect of a cop car. A disco, so we can have a disco, and also within the app we can allocate the colours within that disco. So you can use all the colours available, or we can choose specific colours to use within that. So for instance, in the app here, you can see that as I start to create the amount of colours, we can start at 3, and we can go all the way up to 24 if we wanted to. And then we can select individual colours if we wanted to. To go into manual, we can select individual colours, and we can start to add those in quite simply. Then the next one is we have firework, we have welding, we have CCT loop, flash, storm, TV, candle. I think candle is quite an interesting one in terms of recreating the effect of fire. Now that pulsing up, pulsing down, as it is at the moment, is not very convincing to a fire. So what you do have within the application is you can control the variables within it. You can control the speed. We can also add a slight flicker to it as well. So we're now getting a pulse down, a little flicker, and a pulse up. And then we can also change the intensity on the CCT. So again, that's going to give us that control, that finite control, to make it feel more convincing in terms of creating that lighting effect. Sometimes it can be too mechanical, it feels unreal. So by having the ability to change the variables inside it, what that gives you the ability to create a more effective fire. In my honest opinion, if you're trying to create the effect of fire, I would have multiple fixtures, all at different calibrations, to create that really random structure to fire. And I think, yeah, that's more convincing from sort of like a human tell point, and also from recreation in the camera. Then the next one is bad bulb. Like, this is probably where this comes in to the most amount of play. So we go up to 5,600 Kelvin if we wanted to, and we can adjust the intensity. So we've got those bits there. We can also adjust the brightness, and again, well, it's really, really, really bright. You can also control the speed as well. So I'm going to configure this to make it feel as convincing as possible. So speed around there, intensity, probably slow the intensity down and drag the brightness. So for me, if I was creating it in camera to make the effect of like a bulb that was kind of flickering on its last life, on an older system bulb, you would have a filament wire. Over a period of time, that filament wire is obviously creating heat to bridge the gap of the electric, which creates the light in turn, and also creates heat as well. Over a period of time, that filament starts to decay. As that starts to decay and gets weaker and weaker, it will pop and crackle because it's about to blow effectively. That wire connection is about to be blown, and as it gets weaker, it starts to become more randomize. Also with CCFL tubes in the ceiling, there's a powder inside those. As that starts to diminish as well, it then starts to flicker and stuff, and this is what this is recreating. You don't get this so much with LEDs now, because the technology is a lot better in terms of how they drive the light output, but you're recreating that to add cinematic effect and things along those lines to your production. So there we go, you have it. This is the PavoBulb 10C, and in terms of sort of like the key takeaways, let me just take up my, just going to drop that down, bring up my key light again, just to get us back into keyed. So this is a smart bulb designed for using on set for stills or productions, and it's an accent light, and it's designed to create conviction in your scenes. You know, you're probably not going to key a subject with this. Well, you might do, depending if you're doing a horror or something hanging down from the ceiling, creating a bit of like real mood. You may just use this to key, but you know, you're also going to add layers to a scene by having this in the back in a lampshade and stuff like that. It runs directly from the mains, okay, so it doesn't have an internal battery, but there is the option to add a battery accessory, which will allow you to use MPF batteries at different milliampage, which is going to give you extended battery life depending on what you are doing on set. It also has a USB-C input, which will allow you to run it from a battery bank, and that USB-C also has capacity to connect to a DMX setup, so you can sequence it and things along those lines. And yeah, and then obviously you've got the access to the app. So I'll stop the screen recording now, and hopefully that gives you an overview of this. Pretty excited. We've literally just launched it. I've only got one of them at the moment because there's a bit of a there's a lockdown currently in Shenzhen because there's been an outbreak of COVID, and lots of import exports go through that. So I've only got this one, but I'm due to get a set of 4 of them, and I'm going to be able to do a video on that when they arrive. So yeah, super excited. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you haven't checked out our live when we introduced it, we go through a PowerPoint presentation covering all the key specification. Please check out the Nanlite YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see me presenting that with my colleague Alvin. So yeah, definitely do that for some more information. Hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, pop them down below. And yeah, I have got a feeling it will not be long before you see me again talking about another new exciting product, which is phenomenal. You know, the amount of launches we've got this year is super insane, and I'm going to be doing a video on each and every single one of them. So hit the subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with kind of all things Nanlite and lighting, and yeah, hopefully see you all soon. Take care.